Hello, hi all, my name is Swapnil and today we will see an exciting tutorial of HTML5 and CSS animation. Okay, first of all I want to discuss certain things about this tutorial. This tutorial contains a large concept of HTML5 and CSS3. So my idea is to create an word animation using CSS3 and HTML5. First of all, let's start our Dreamweaver. I am using Dreamweaver CS6 version. I'm gonna start it up. The key things in this tutorial, you must know that you should be acquainted with the term HTML5, all of its tags, and CSS3 animation properties at least. Now the Dreamweaver is open. Let's check it out. We're gonna make HTML5 document. So for that we have to create an HTML document. I'll go to more. Here I can see HTML5 wizard. Okay, now let's check it out. The doc type is XHTML1. I have to change it to HTML5, and one CSS is already attached to it, so I will delete it. I'm gonna create it. So here I got my HTML code and the design, the ruler and all. Okay, let's start. First of all, I will just change the HTML language to English. This will allow our browser that all the components here are in English format. So look at here, if you see meta character, the character sets are UTF. Keep it as it is. Okay, we just will change the name of our document to CSS word animation. Okay, now first of all I have to discuss that what kind of font we gonna use. Do we gonna use a domain related font, means it will be saved on your system fonts, or any font you gonna take online, means online generation of font. So how we can take it? Just go to Google and just type Google web fonts. Google will give you a large library of web fonts. This is Google Font API. Just click over there. And Google web font. So I have decided to use one font, Bree. Yeah, here it is. This font I want to use in my design. So I'll use quick use and I'll get a direct link for the font, so I can use this in my HTML. Inside head tag I will just apply that. This link provides us a direct reference to the address which is derived here, fonts.googleapis.com, CSS and the family. Okay, this is the relationship between the font and this this HTML5 and the type. Okay, then afterwards we should know that not every browser supports various contents of CSS3, means property of animation cannot be supported in if you say in Internet Explorer 7, 8, 9. 9 supports various properties, but till 8, 9, 7, 8 it doesn't support various properties of CSS3 and even HTML5. So we'll make a document which is equivalent to our animation. So I'll use meta tag which is equivalent for a second. I'll just make you understand. Wait. XUA compatibility. Content to yes, internet. Let's use Edge. This code, this reference is used by Internet Explorer, and it will use the Internet Explorer's compatible mode. Means whenever you run this HTML or any person view that HTML, the compatible mode of Internet Explorer will be there. Okay, so next thing I want to do is I must generate a CSS. I'll go to new and I have a CSS document. The next thing I will do, I'll save them inside a folder. I'll make a new folder. Inside that I'll make another folder for CSS, and here I'll put it as a name as a style. Again I'll save my HTML in the same document. Now we got two different documents, one HTML5 and one CSS. Okay, now how to link them? To link them, we'll use a link tag. Then I'll see where the document is. Yeah. Then what type of document it is? It is text and CSS. Okay, and what is the relationship between this document and the CSS? It is a style sheet. Now you can see our CSS document and HTML has been linked, so we can close this one. Next thing I want to discuss is the browser support. Earlier days, like 10 years ago, there were certainly very less browser which supported CSS 3. So earlier developers, designers, they used browser sniffing as the method to know what browser the user was using. Okay, still there is another problem that CSS 3 and HTML5 is widely in use nowadays, but still the browsers, they have very less compatibility. Like say Internet Explorer, it doesn't have various properties, it doesn't support certain properties of CSS 3 and HTML5 tags. There are certain browsers, Mozilla, which doesn't support various properties of CSS 3. Similarly for the WebKit. So there is a tool called as, or you can say it is a JavaScript or jQuery plugin which allows us to make certain use of various tags and attributes and various CSS properties throughoutly, and without worrying about the user browsers. They will ask the browser that can you do this, can you use this property, can you apply it, can you render it. If yes, then the browser will positively send the response and you will get the property rendered for you. So for that you have to check this JavaScript. It is called as Modernizer. Yeah, modernizer.com. Go to there. As you can see, it's a JavaScript library that detects HTML5 and CSS3 features in user browser. So we don't need the method of sniffing, which is unreliable and a sniffing method. Okay, so just go and download it. Now you will see various methods of CSS3, HTML5, extendability, how it should be tested and all. For this we will need certain methods. CSS animation we are doing, so we need CSS animation. Then HTML5 SHIV method is there, version 6 is there, yeah, we'll need that. Load, yes, we'll need that this method should be loaded while the script is running or not. Then we'll need add CSS classes, because we're gonna define our own classes. We will define our own methods in CSS. The rules and everything, those classes are added while the page is rendered. Again, when I add this, you will get this modernizer test proportion and all properties. Okay, so we'll say it generate. It will generate us the code. It is an open source code, you can use it anytime. So I'll just copy it here and I'll make a new JavaScript. I'll save all. Now I will save it at the same location. I'll make one new folder and name it as JS. I will name it as modernizer script. Now again I have to link this script to our HTML. So I will use script tag. Where the script is located, I'll check it out. This is it. And I'll just end my script tag. Now you can see that script is also attached to our HTML. Now let's get started with our HTML. According to my design, I'm gonna use a section of area for the word animation. Okay, so I will use a tag called section, which creates a section of area for the I will use for that I will use to create a certain document. You should need a layout. Okay, to create a layout here, I will use a section tag of HTML5, which creates an area for me to encapsulate all of my text animation and the details, whatever I gonna write inside that section document. Sorry, section layout. So I will give a class name to it, because I want to use certain CSS properties which I can write in CSS and I can use them directly in my HTML. So I give a class name called swap wrapper. I've used wrapper as a name because it will wrap all the components inside it. Okay. So according to me, I should provide a CSS here. As it was a class, so I will write dot swap wrapper According to me, I have to set its width and height. So first of all, I'll give it the width. I want it should use an 80% of the area of my viewpoint. So either I can just check out my resolution, or else I can write it up as a 80%. Okay. The next thing is that this layout should be relative to the viewport area. So I will position it. I'll use the position property and make it relative. Okay. Then also I want to give a certain margin property to it, that my area should be, my section or my wrapper should come in the middle or something like that. So I will give a margin property. Let's check it out. How much? Let's say 100 pixel from top, automatically from left and right, and from bottom it should be 200 or 300. Let's keep it 200. Let's check it out. Again, I have to give a padding that it should be certainly from all the direction, it should be in the middle of it. So let's say I'll give 10 pixels, and as I given a bit, I should, so I will give height as, let's say 500 pixel, and I will keep the overflow of my text or whatever I'm just gonna make in that layout hidden. If it goes out of it, it should be hidden. Now in my section I will use a heading. For that I should use an H1 or H2 tag. I'll just check it with H2 tag and say hello. Hello, welcome to my tutorial. Sorry, I wasn't prepared to make this up, but let's check it out. The H2 tag should be in it. Oh, it's already in it. I will use a certain class for it also, that inside my H2 my element should be properly margined and it has certain shadow or something like that. So what name I should give it is a H2, let's say swap sentence. I will also span it up. Now you can see how my section is looking like. I'll check it in my browser. Yeah, it is coming over here. according to what I have decided. Again I will use a break line and another. The CSS animation using. After this I will use an animation through CSS, and the words coming after using, they should be done certain animation on them. For that I have to decide a propaganda that how should those words should be rendered and the animation should be properly entitled on them. Okay, for that I will use a certain layout, means those words are different from the text I am using here. The CSS animation using, if it is a property, rotation property, it should come over here, rotation, then the word should rotate itself and go. Translation property, the word again should rotate and go. So I will use 3 or 4 words after this, the CSS animation using 3 or 4 words, they will rotate themselves and they will vanish. Okay, so this animation I want to put up. So for that I should have a container to encapsulate those text. I will use a class which is not defined yet. We will define it. We'll start with the words. Let's say animation, CSS animation using CSS 3. Again it should end. The next word should be span. Span should end. CSS 3. Rotation property. Then we'll use translate property, span, translate property, span, opacity property. Okay, so this is all of it, and then so we have written all the 4 words. Now we'll close this div class. I have already closed that. What changes I have made? I have encapsulating all these words inside this h2 block. So I will close that h2 block here, and section has already been closed. So we have this section along which we can see the words. Yes, they are coming exactly as we wanted. But what font family we have decided here is Bree Serif. So inside my pop-up I should give font family. Font family Bree Serif. Now you can see the changes. Okay, now here the CSS animation using CSS3 should come over here, or it might come over here, and all these words should be encapsulated inside this area, and one by one they should come, rotate themselves and vanish. That's what animation we want to put. For that we should start animating them. We have to apply that animation on this container. For that, first of all, we have done a swap class over here, swap dot dash sentence, so we should write for that CSS animation, or certainly you can say properties. So I will write swap was sentence I want to keep the margin 0 from all the side. Then I want to provide the alignment of text. Let's keep it left. We'll check it. Yeah, we'll check the live view. Inside live view it will look like this. Now here you can see there is no certain background, so we should provide a certain background to it, so it should look nice. So for thoroughly body I want to give a background, so I have used bodies as a selector and I will give a background. I'll use an image. Here I have just used this image, this texture for my background. Yes, using this texture make it more sober and looks very good. Yes, now we have used span over here. So let's give a class for span. Yes, we should. Let's check it out how it will look like. Swap for sentence it was span. I should provide a color for that text. It should look different, so I'll provide that color. I'll provide F593. It's an orange color. Just check it out. Yeah, the color is coming orange. Yes, next thing I want the font size. I want the font should go much bigger, so I can give 36 pixels. Let's check it out. They are much bigger, so I don't know the font size how it is rendering, but as I know it should be 16 pixel. Let's check it out. 200% of that font, previous font. Oh, it is much bigger. Let's render it on a browser. Yeah, it's looking good. 200%